me with eyes that cry. How can I go on, dear, without you? You took the part that once was my heart, so why not take all of me? Your goodbye left me with eyes that cry. How can I ever get along without you? You took the part that once was my heart, so why not take all of me? Oh, you got to be quick when you switch from vocal to trumpet there on that one. All of me. Hello, everybody. Happy September. Can you believe it? It's been 1 year since I started these by request videos, and they've been very well received. I've gotten so many great comments, and especially those of you who have contributed financially to my little projects. I truly appreciate it. Got a tip jar and a PayPal link down there if you care to contribute a few cents or whatever you feel like contributing to keep this going. I'm hoping to upgrade some more equipment. I'm starting a couple of new projects hopefully here very soon, and I'll be excited to share them with all of you when they're ready. Anyway, I'm coming up now on, in fact, I just celebrated 53 years since the first time I picked up a trumpet. And everything I know about the trumpet, for the most part, I learned from the great Harry James, which gives us a perfect segue into the Harry James tribute of the week. This week, I got a request from someone named Ronald. Asked me if I could do the Harry James arrangement of On a Clear Day. First of all, let me tell you, I've also gotten a lot of questions about my equipment. Let me give you a quick rundown of my inventory here. Got to take out my genuine Humes & Berg cup mute. I've had this one about 25 years, I think. Still as good as the first day that I got it. I don't use it as much as I used to because I've got quite a few other mutes that I use. The trumpet that I'm playing is a King built by the H.N. White Company. It is a Super 20 Silver Sonic, means it has a sterling silver bell, Symphony, and it's the balance model, also known as the Harry James model. It's a dual bore, starts out at a 458 at the lead pipe, ends up at a 468 coming out of the bell. So you're really playing two different horns at once. You can play a little softer stuff and you don't use a lot of air, and then you can really fill it up with the air and get a louder sound. And the sterling silver bell gives it the perfect amount of sizzle. The mouthpiece that I'm using was a custom-built mouthpiece that was made for me by the Legends Brass Company. You guys, if you're looking for a mouthpiece, especially you lead players and guys that play a lot of jazz, Legends Brass is making the best mouthpieces out there. Derek is so understanding of what your needs are. He knows how to fit you with the right mouthpiece. This one is the HJ. It's a Harry James model. It's modeled after the Parduba double cup, but the inside rim is a little different. It's got a little bit more bite than the Parduba had. The original Pardubas. I'm not talking about the stuff they call Parduba now. And this one was opened up to a 26 throat, just like Harry played. And it is a wonderful mouthpiece. Got a 600 diameter, inside diameter, so it's rather small, but it plays a lot bigger. And so that's what I'm playing these days. But this is a song I got a request for back in 1967. Harry recorded an album called Our Leader. And it was the last album he did for Dot Records. And the Dot period, 3 years or so that Harry was with Dot Records, it was a confused mess at times. They didn't know how to market Harry James. They didn't know how to put together material for an album. Harry wanted to do more jazz. Dot wanted to do more pop stuff. And really, with the exception of Live at the Riverboat, all the albums were somewhat of a disappointment to the hardcore Harry James fan. But there were some really highlights of the albums. 1967, the album was called Our Leader. And Harry wanted to do an album of Thad Jones arrangements, and Dot was going to have none of that. But what Harry was able to do is he took a couple of Thad Jones's charts that he had written for the Harry James Orchestra, and a couple of charts that were written by Louis Bellson, who had played drums briefly for Harry back in 1966 and also back in the early 50s, off and on between 1950 and 54. And so then the rest of it was filled out with charts that were either written by Harry's musical alter ego, Rob Turk, brilliant, brilliant arranger, great trumpet player, and also by a fellow named Jimmy Haskell. Jimmy Haskell had not only written some hit charts for Eddie Arnold and some other country people, but he wrote for pop and rock and country. He wrote music scores, and he had a very long career. But he had arranged an album for Harry in 1966 called Harry James and His Western Friends. And so those were all made up of country western tunes. And then he wrote a couple for Our Leader. And this particular chart, On a Clear Day, was written by Jimmy Haskell. And so what I've tried to do is I've tried to take as much of Harry off of the original record. You'll hear at the beginning of this, possibly, you'll hear a few scratches because they were taken off of an LP. And to be honest, I thought that Harry had kicked it off a little slow on the album. And all the live appearances where he had played On a Clear Day after that album was recorded were at a much swingier, brighter tempo. So I've tried to speed up the recording just a little bit to sound a little bit more like what Harry would have played in concert and in a dance. So I'm going to try to play Harry's solos on this tune called On a Clear Day. Day. And that one lick, for the high E flat, first time I ever saw Harry play that was in 1971 at the Pier 66 Hotel in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And I saw Harry play a lot of great tunes that I wish he had recorded. He had this swinging arrangement of Blue Skies, and then also a great arrangement on Always, I'll Be Loving You Always, as a jump tune. He played Down South Camp Meeting, and the only time I ever saw Harry James play You Made Me Love You, outside of the hit medley, was at the Pier 66 in 1971. But when he played On a Clear Day, he did this thing, ba 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 da ba da. He went up and hit the E flat and just slid all the way down through the registers there, and so I just threw that in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for putting up with me. Anyway, here's the song that Frank Sinatra recorded with Tommy Dorsey and his orchestra in 1941. And then 1962, he recorded another album called I Remember Tommy with the great Tommy Dorsey arranger with Cy Oliver. And they did some great recreations, new versions of the tunes that Frank did with Tommy Dorsey. And so this is one that just swings like crazy. The One I Love belongs to somebody else. I love belongs to somebody else. She means her tender songs to somebody else. And even when I have my arm all around her, I'll bet her thoughts are strong for somebody else. And the hands I hold belong to somebody else. I'll bet they're not so cold to somebody else. It's tough to be alone on a shelf, far worse to fall in love by yourself, like when the one you love belongs to somebody else. What else? Oh yes, the one I love belongs to somebody else. She means her tender songs to somebody else. And even when I have my arms all around her, you can bet her thoughts are strong for somebody else. And the hands I hold belong to somebody else. You can bet they're not so cold, somebody else. Now it's tough to be alone on the shelf, much worse to fall in love by yourself, like when the one you love belongs to somebody else. Wow. That's a swinging chart. Yeah, it's not the same without Cy Oliver's backup vocal there, but you get the idea. Some of you might have heard that in your head, that's where Cy Oliver would have said stuff. Anyway, thank you. Anyway, just want to make another reference to my little endeavors here. As you can tell, they're on a shoestring budget. And this is a big chunk of my musical performances these days, as most of the assisted living retirement communities have once again shut down in Oregon. They don't want any outside entertainment. So if you feel like tossing a buck at my PayPal link there, I sure would appreciate it. And those of you that are praying, folks, please be thinking of me next month. I'm going to be undergoing cataract surgery in my right eye. And you know, that's not a big deal to many folks. I had a cataract removed when I was 45 years old, and it wasn't a big deal, and I felt like Superman with x-ray vision. However, I've had 2 retina detachments in my left eye since then, and my left eye is not all that useful. So that means my right eye is my good eye. But it's become more and more apparent when I try to read music or read anything really up close that I need some work done. And so I went to the doctor last week. Eye doctor said you're going to need a cataract surgery on the right eye. So be thinking of me when you're talking to God, and say a prayer for the old trumpet player. Well, speaking of trumpet players, I want to do a song dedicated to my friend Peter Moss. Peter's it's such a kick to talk to Peter on the phone, because he's a real Brit. And so to talk to someone that has that English accent, and yet he loves Harry James the way that I do, and the way many of us do. And he's the guy that's responsible for this patch on my jacket here that came from the Harry James Orchestra. So Peter, I want to do a song for you that I know you'll enjoy. And this was a song that Harry James over the years had, by my count, about 4 or 5 different arrangements of this song in his book, but he never recorded it commercially. And this is the great Hoagie Carmichael song, Stardust. And it's most remembered as a trumpet solo by the great Billy Butterfield with Artie Shaw's orchestra in 1938. And so I'm going to play a little Harry James style trumpet on Stardust. Peter, I hope you enjoy this. Hope you enjoyed that, Peter. I hope you didn't mind that the backing track came from an Engelbert Humperdinck album. Not much of a trumpet player, I don't think. Anyway, here's a song that was part of a set of tunes that Frank Sinatra recorded with the great Billy May and his orchestra. In 1962, the album was called Swing Along With Me. He wanted to call it Come Swing With Me. Got into a bit of a shouting match with Capitol Records. Anyway, the album, to a large extent, was made up of older songs. I mean, when I say old, at that time it was 1962, so from the 20s and 30s, that Frank had never gotten around to record. And so this tune is one of them. And it's another one that just swings like crazy. And I hope you enjoy this song. Don't talk about me when I'm gone. Ah, honey, though our friendship ceases from now on. If you can't say anything real nice, it is better not to talk at all. That's my advice. You go your way, I'll go mine. Maybe it's best we do. Here's a kiss, I hope that this brings lots of luck to you. Though our friendship ceases from now on, I'll remember, please don't talk about me when I'm gone. Don't talk about me when I'm gone. Yeah, baby, though our friendship ceases from now on. If you can't say anything real nice, it's much better not to talk at all. That's my advice. Remember, you go your way, I'll go mine. Maybe it's best we do. Here's a kiss, I hope that this brings a lot of luck to you. Though our friendship ceases from now on, remember, please don't talk about me. Don't say a word about me. Please don't talk about me when I'm gone. Don't you talk about me when I'm gone. Oh, I haven't sung that one in a while. Got the words mixed up a little bit. Anyway, thank you so much for coming back and watching this. I hope you enjoy the music. And I hope that I get to see you all again in October. And once again, if you feel like throwing a buck at the PayPal link there, I sure would appreciate it. Thank you to all of you who contribute financially. Daniel, Paul, Bill, a bunch of you. Thank you, Rick. And I hope I see you again next month. Thanks, guys.